Good morning, good morning, good morning. And a grand rising. It is a wonderful morning. The sun is out, not too hot yet, just nice and golden, and the grass is green because we've been having showers. And the flowers are gorgeous. It really is a day that the Lord hath made, and we will rejoice and be glad in it. So welcome to all those who are here at the Temple of Light, Center for Spiritual Living, in the sanctuary in Kingston, Jamaica. And welcome to all those who are listening online. We welcome both. Both are so important to us. And as we know, all things begin here at the temple with prayer. Our opening affirmative prayer is now. Please join me as we go within. Within is peace. Within is joy. Within is light and understanding. Within, above all, is love. And these are the qualities of God. And we open our hearts and we open our minds. We open our entire beings to the influx of all these qualities, all these blessings of God into our hearts and into this temple of light, into this community, Jamaica, and indeed into the whole world of those who accept that blessings of our source. And we know because we are open and receptive, this service in this Temple of Light, this Sunday morning, is already a done deal. It is already an accomplished, beautiful fact. It blesses all those who are tuned in at this moment or who are going to be tuning in later on. We are all open to the blessings of our source. I know this, I believe this, and giving thanks for this Sunday morning service, I release my words into the law of mind and give thanks that as I have spoken, it is so, and so it is. So it is. And we follow up, as usual, with our chants. And our chant this morning is, "You Are the Face of God," words by Reverend Carol Hunter and Karen Drucker, and music by Karen Drucker. You are the face of God. Together.
You are the face of God. I hold you in my heart. You are a part of me. You are the face of God. You are the face of love. I hold you in my heart. You are a family. You are the face of God. You are the face of God. Tu es l'image de Dieu. I hold you in my heart. Tu es l'image de l'amour. You are a part of me. You are the face of God. You are the face of God. Tu sei la luce di Dio. I hold you in my heart. Tu sei il volto dell'amore. You are a family.
And as we remain standing, let us say our prosperity affirmation. Together, God is lavish, unfailing, abundant prosperity.
The source of all good is infinite and inexhaustible.
I unify with and place my faith in the one true source. My life is already blessed, yet I am being offered so much more. Infinite potential, unconditional love, and unlimited spiritual growth are just a few of Spirit's gifts. I am open to receiving them with all the gratitude and joy. The God power made me in its image and likeness, out of itself, and it wants only to support me. Its plan is to lift me into higher expression. Deep in my heart, I know I deserve all the good things in life, and my acceptance of the support of the universe is all that is necessary for it to continue its work in my life. I deserve true abundance and unconditional love. I deserve vibrant health and good feelings. I deserve happiness, peace, and joy. I deserve prosperity, freedom, and ease in my financial affairs. I deserve to have my dreams come true. My heart is filled with gratitude for all that I have been given and for all that is yet to come. I release my word to the law of divine mind that always says yes, and so it is. You may sit, have a moment of silence. Let us absorb all that has taken place so far. Thank you. And now it is time for the lighting of the candle and the youth blessings. All the young people, young at heart, young in body and mind, please come up. Chabanade lighting the candle. And it has been lit, and he's about to speak.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, Chabanade.
I light this candle on behalf of all the youth of the world. Let us behold the Christ in them. And
So it is. And the youth blessing together. We love you. We appreciate you. We salute the Christ in you. We see you as shining lights unto your world. God is blessing you now, and so it is. And we have now the Temple of Light mission song, our anthem. Temple of Light, just that yay at the end of the song, but we always say, yay, yay. And our young people go off, and it's now time for our reminders for Sunday, August 11, 2024. All those who are in the sanctuary, welcome again, and those who are our guests online, welcome. And we have a special congratulations to Maestro Curtis Watson, who was conferred an Order of Distinction in the rank of officer class for his contribution to the creative arts in music and international performance. Well done, Dr. Curtis Watson. Well done. He was here last week, but I don't see him yet. Maybe he'll be coming by. But there is one mind, so he got that welcome. There will be, of course, a spiritual mind healing service on Tuesday at 6 on Zoom and on YouTube. Please watch out for the links. The practitioners will be Sandra Cooper and Carol Campbell. We have two of them together on Tuesday. That should be quite wonderful, quite wonderful. And it's not on this. How inconvenient is truth? Interesting. We're going to hear a bit of a dialogue, no doubt. They are both actresses, so maybe there'll be some dialogue about that topic. How inconvenient is truth? There will be Thanksgiving services for Dr. Thelma Tina Nelson at St. Peter's and Paul's Catholic Church on Friday, August 16 at 10 a.m. Those who can make it. Tina was a staunch member of our community with us for many years. So if you're interested, Friday, August 16, 10 a.m. at St. Peter's and Paul Catholic Church. Legal matters. Do you have questions or friends who may need some information on legal affairs? Well, our legal team is here just to provide you with some answers. They will be online, on site, on Saturdays from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. And please, this is a special event. Remember to save the date for our installation weekend, November 8 to 10, 2024. It's going to be an exciting, spiritually uplifting weekend, and there will be more details to come. If you wish to donate, give tithe to offerings, we need to thank you in advance for your generosity, and for those who have already given, we again give you thanks. You're helping us to be a beacon of light in this community and in this world. If you wish to support us, our ministry financially, kindly visit our donate page at donate.templeoflightcsl.org, which has our banking details. Thank you, as together we support a world that works for everyone. Prayer support is available with Reverend Michel Senegal at prayer.templeoflightcsl.org. So if you want some special prayer support from Reverend Michel Senegal, prayer.templeoflightcsl.org. And this morning, practitioner Sandra Cooper is available to pray with you immediately following our Sunday service. And for those who are not in the sanctuary, those who are in the sanctuary, there she is in living color, live and living, waving at us like the Queen. For those who are online, the number to call is 876-289-0907. Once more, 289-0907. Grief support and counseling are also available. And if you desire this, please call 876-927-6145, our temple number. And those are the reminders. And it's now time for our first hymn, I Am Here to Remind You. Please stand. Thank you, Odile. Thank you, Chorus Choir, the Temple of Light Choir. Please sit, settle back, and be prepared to be informed and delighted by our talk by our senior minister, Reverend Michel Senegal, who is always, always an effervescent, bubbling speaker. Reverend Michel.
Hello, family. It's been a minute, and we are being true to our monthly theme, which is Unstatus Quo. I don't speak on second Sunday normally, so we shook things up a little bit. So we are going to be dealing with a serious topic today, so I'm not going to limit myself to 12 to 15 minutes. I'm going to say what I feel I need to say, and however long that takes. However, I am, very concise. I err on that side, so it won't be much beyond that, but I just want you all to prepare. So before we do, I want you all to just stretch. Just stretch in your seats and yawn. Get it all out now, because I don't want you falling asleep on me. So the topic is Trauma 101, but I decided to focus on generational trauma. And the reason being is because I've been doing a lot of reading about that, and so I always say that the universe prepares me. I had no idea what my topic was until I looked a few days ago, but I've been reading a couple of books because of different circles that I'm involved in, and so I'm going to be bringing some of that into this talk today. So, today's world can be incredibly challenging to navigate. Would you agree? Yes. Neglect, abuse, poverty, violence, loss, and more. And all of these things are a part of the human experience, and they touch us all in various ways. But the interesting thing is, in spiritual community, we don't often talk about things like trauma. And so this month we are, and I hope you all read the little announcement that I put out at the beginning of the month to prepare you that we're going to be talking about some of the seemingly taboo topics, because it's time. It's time. Why? Because we need to heal. Not only do we need to heal, but the entire planet needs to heal from the various traumas that we have experienced now and over time. And what I've come to learn is that what we are experiencing now, those seeds were planted long time ago. And they are now, of course, being sown, and being sown in ways that we do not necessarily want. So, in the Science of Mind textbook, page 212, Ernest Holmes says that we are not so cold-blooded as to say to a person with pain that there's no such thing as pain. That is not the idea or the purpose. We admit the fact. You know, I've said it before. I've stood here and said that, you know, when my hamstrings were bothering me, that I was in pain. I acknowledge that. But I didn't stay there, right? I didn't start to define myself as my pain. And I also know that pain and suffering are not necessary. I did create that by overworking my hamstrings. So I don't need people to tell me, you created that. What's in your consciousness? But that's what we tend to do in spiritual community. And I'm saying that we need to be here for each other. We need to uplift. We need to listen to one another. We need to help each other heal. And yes, I know, I created that myself, so I don't need you to remind me. The whole philosophy, the science of mind, is a philosophy that is meant to inspire and to connect us to each other and to our own perfect understanding of the divine. So let's talk about trauma and how it affects us. There is this assessment or this metric that is used by psychologists and psychiatrists, and it's referred to as ACE, an adverse childhood experience. Anybody ever have such a one? Meaning that it happened in your childhood, but you remember it just like it was yesterday. Yeah. 11 years old, I was under undue stress. 11 years old, I was diagnosed with the shingles. That's usually something that old people have to concern themselves with. And when I was 11 years old, they didn't have a vaccination. Now we do. And that was because I was under undue stress and trauma in my household. I lived in a household where I had to walk around on eggshells because I had a stepfather who was a militant and also had served in the military. And so the least little thing that you did wrong, you're punished for a week. No dessert for a month. And so you literally walked around on eggshells. And at that time, we didn't know that that was taking its toll on me, but it was very traumatic. And it wasn't until I had the outward manifestation that my mother realized the seriousness of the situation. So I want you just to breathe and say, I am gentle with myself and the world, knowing we are all healing from something. And as mentioned, at present, I'm reading a book, and this book is titled Emotional Justice by Esther Armah. She defines emotional justice as a roadmap for racial healing. And I expand that to race consciousness, the healing of the race consciousness. So she focuses on the emotional work that we all need to do to end global systemic inequity. She posits that trauma can be generational and connects it to the histories of oppression, and what is happening now is a result of that oppression. She goes on to say that the transmission of trauma happens across multiple generations within families, within communities, within societies, within countries. And this type of trauma stems from significant, pervasive stressors or traumatic events that deeply affect a group of people. She goes on to talk about the effects of genocide and slavery and colonization and systemic discrimination. The effects of these traumas can manifest in myriad ways, including health issues, also mental health issues, behavioral patterns, and physiological responses that can be passed down from one generation to the next. And the thing about it is oftentimes we are unaware of what it is that is affecting us, because research is new in this space in terms of generational trauma and its adverse effects on subsequent generations. And in her book, she focuses on people of the African diaspora, and she says that trauma is often rooted in historic and systemic oppression. Colonization and cultural erasure of indigenous people worldwide is but one example. So earlier this summer, I joined a couple of Temple of Light members, and we went to a conference of the Maroons in Charlestown. And there they talked about this very thing. They discussed the forced removal from their lands, the destruction of their cultural practices, the loss of their language, and the fear of becoming extinct. There is also the loss of cultural knowledge, which contributes to the feelings of disconnection and an identity crisis. So this trauma can be seen in ongoing economic disparities, internalized racism, and a sense of inferiority or disconnection from cultural roots. Additionally, there are high rates of violence and substance abuse in some of these communities, often linked to the generational impact of oppressive systems. And what I know is that I have traveled around to reservations in the United States and in Canada, and the story is exactly the same story. What this particular research did not include was the fact that there is a lot of abuse, physical and violent abuse of women in those indigenous communities. My thoughts are, when you get so frustrated, when you are so enraged, you have to act it out some kind of way. You have to get it out of the body. And the person closest to you, unfortunately, is the one who gets it. The effects of colonization are profound and long-lasting. Many of the world's current political, social, and economic inequalities can be traced back to colonial practices. The legacy of colonization includes ongoing challenges such as poverty, underdeveloped nations, or third world countries, and social strife. The loss of language, identity, and traditional knowledge continues to affect formerly colonized people psychologically and culturally. Sound familiar? To me, it's also important to become trauma-informed, to break the cycle of generational trauma. So I became more informed about generational trauma so that I could break the cycle within my own family. So generational trauma is something that I researched as I was writing my last book, Widows Speak. I realized the profundity of generational trauma in my own family, specifically generational suicide amongst the men. Intuitively, I knew I had to break that cycle of trauma because I have a male child who could have the same proclivities as his father, his grandfather, and his great-grandfather. Do you hear what I'm saying? Generational suicide. So by addressing how trauma is stored and expressed in the body, I introduced my son to therapy and somatic practices when he was 10 years old to disrupt that cycle of generational suicide. And so as my son healed and continues to heal from the loss of his father, he's less likely to repeat that behavior, and more significantly, less likely to pass it on to my grandson, Oliver. He practices, this is my son current day, hot yoga. Yoga's just not enough. It's got to be hot, right? So that's the Bikram yoga, and you go into that hot room, and you're a lot looser and a lot more relaxed. So even today, he practices hot yoga. It also incorporates breath work and movement of the body and mindfulness to promote physical and emotional balance. And that is not a luxury, that's an absolute necessity for his sanity. The book, My Grandmother's Hands, Racialized Trauma and a Pathway to Mending Our Hearts and Bodies, was written by Resmaa Menakem, a therapist and an expert on trauma. His book explores how trauma related to otherness, living on the margins, being excluded. So he talks about how that particular type of trauma is passed down generationally, and he offers somatic practices to help heal from these deep-rooted wounds. And what's a somatic practice? They're therapeutic approaches that focus on the body as a central component of healing. These practices recognize that trauma is not just stored in the mind, but also in our body, and it manifests as physical tension, anxiety, or pain. And there are, of course, other bodily sensations. And by directly working with the body, somatic practices aim to release stored traumas and promote overall well-being. So, are you all familiar with the EFT, Emotional Freedom Technique? Yeah, so let's practice that. It's a very, very simple technique. And so, you just take, say, the meaty part of your index finger and the middle finger, and then just gently tap. Just gently tap. And then you can move to the center of the forehead. And just move all around. If you're comfortable, you can close your eyes and you can tap your eyelids gently. You can tap your entire face. Tap your forehead. Go back to your temples. And now take a deep breath in and release. So whenever you start to feel anxious or you start to feel stressed, you can always tap. I was amazed. We were in our board retreat, and one of our members was tapping, and he was the least likely person in my mind to tap. But it is a simple technique, so you don't have to be stressed, you don't have to be anxious. That's a simple technique that you can use. And of course, there's always body work. There's your breathing practices, yoga, humming. Did you know humming is a somatic practice? So if you think about your ancestors, you think about your elders, I think about my great-grandmother. She was Big Mama. And Big Mama used to sit in her rocking chair and hum. So simultaneously, she was engaged in two somatic practices. She'd be rocking in her chair and she'd be humming. And it wasn't until later in her life when she really started to open up and to share stories. As I asked her, why do you hum? Why do you rock? And she said, because my father was an enslaved person, and he passed those stories down to me. And she said, there were atrocities that were committed, and she said, but he overcame them and became an overseer. So emotionally, I'm proud that he didn't have to continue with that experience, but I'm ashamed because he enslaved his brothers and sisters. And he used violence against them to keep them in line, because that was then his job. And she says, and that's still with me. And at that time, she was in her late 90s. She passed on at 98. But you see, I had no idea. Why is she humming? Why is she rocking? And it's because of the generational trauma that she didn't personally experience, but she learned about it. And one of the other aspects of research is that it is in our DNA. That's why we have certain inherited, I believe, of course, we can disrupt that, but we do inherit certain conditions that are passed down generationally. I'm one of the healthiest people on the planet, but I'm borderline type 2 diabetic. So I have to work out. I don't do it because it's something that I love to do. I do, fortunately. I do it because I have to do it. Because too many people in my family have been diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. I'm just under it. I'm just under it, right? And it's because of the weight training in particular that is very, very helpful to me. So you all, if anybody's on the border, weight training, because it actually works your muscles more, it works your heart more, and it has everything flowing properly. And so it breaks up the potentiality of carbohydrates becoming sugar. So breathe and affirm with me, I am gentle with myself and the world, knowing we are all healing from something. There's also trauma in spiritual community. Imagine that. Though we say we're welcoming and inclusive, we often expect others to fit into our cultural norms rather than accepting them as they are. And I've witnessed this right here at Temple, particularly during our discovery circles. Some members of our community, they show up a little bit differently. They process and they think a little bit differently. And they're not always given the same respect as everybody in that discovery circle. Be mindful. Be mindful. We don't know what traumatic experiences people are living through and going through and how it is manifesting in their lives. And spiritual community, that's the first place, not the last place, that you should feel emotionally and psychologically safe. So that's the kind of community that I endeavor to create here. So here's another example of trauma in spiritual community. Many spiritual people proclaim that, ooh, we're huggers. And then, they're meeting somebody for the first time, they automatically start to hug them. My son is coming for installation, do not hug him. He does not like hugs. That's why he doesn't go to church, because, spiritual people always tend to hug. He'll hug you once he gets to know you, but I don't know you. Don't hug me. And so I'm making light of that, but it's not a light thing. Because there are people who are triggered by other people's hugs or shows of affection. Why? Because it may have been used as a tool against them to abuse them when they were younger. See, we don't know. We don't know what's in people's bodies and in their memories and in their minds. So we can't treat people outside of our cultural norm to comport to what we do as normal. Our norm it is. So, what we could do is just say, we are a community that hugs. May I hug you? Can I give you a hug? Ask permission as opposed to just grabbing folks and hugging them. That's a big thing in spiritual community, you all. Yeah. So become trauma informed. And in so doing, you learn to be more inclusive. You learn to be more empathetic. You learn to be more compassionate. So the call to action is this. It's crucial that we begin to listen to and support one another through our healing journeys, rather than diminishing or disregarding their pain. The pain that naturally comes with simply being human. As Robert Anton Wilson reminds us, under the present brutal and primitive conditions on this planet, every person you meet should be regarded as someone who is among the walking wounded. We have never seen a person not slightly deranged by either anxiety or grief. We have never seen a totally sane human being. And he's talking about all of the circumstances and the conditions that exist in the world. But I'm here to remind you that we have the science of mind philosophy. We have a tool to help us to rise above situations such as this. And so it's not about just knowing the principles, you all. It is truly about applying them and living them that enables you and me to transcend these situations and these circumstances that otherwise could cause us stress and anxiety. So I believe that everyone deserves to be treated with kindness, with grace, respect, and compassion as we walk by and with one another. And also that same grace and companionship and compassion should be extended to ourselves. And I quote Sean Genwright. He wrote The Four Pivots, Reimagining Justice and Reimagining Ourselves. He said, we are all wounded and carry the shame and pain in ways that we are unaware. Yet, we are not equipped with the skills or the awareness to heal our own trauma. And that's for people who are not in science of mind. But we have the tools, we have the skills, but there's oftentimes a gap between what it is that we know and what it is that we do. So the call to action is to close that gap, to live the science of mind, to believe with every cell and sinew of your being when you declare that declaration of principles that, you know what, I can be free from discord of every nature, right? Truly know that and engage in the practices that enable that to become your truth, because that truth then becomes the law of your life. So I leave you with these thought-provoking questions. How have you applied the science of mind principles to heal your own trauma? Do you use prayer, forgiveness practices, meditation to bring you to a place of peace? Are you continuing to apply this teaching to your own life to identify, address, and heal personal and collective trauma? Is the Temple of Light an emotionally and psychologically safe place to heal? So breathe that in and affirm with me, I am gentle with myself and the world, knowing we are all healing from something. And then I'll leave you with this. I'm very traumatized. My luggage got lost. I didn't have my electric toothbrush this morning. I didn't have my favorite red outfit. But I'll get over it. I'll get over it. I am affirming that there's nothing lost in the universe and that my luggage will be returned to me, to my house. I don't even have to go to the airport to get it. So that's an example of applying science of mind principles to situations and circumstances and being able to laugh about it. Fortunately, I don't get attached to things. I'll just file a claim, get some money, go buy some more stuff. But that could be very traumatic for some people. Yeah. So I am gentle with myself and the world, knowing that we are all healing from something. And so it is. Ashe.
Thank you so much, Reverend Michelle. We are to be gentle with ourselves because we know that we and everybody around us, we're all healing from something. Maybe just a lost toothbrush, but from something. But the good news is, we here in Science of Mind, we have a tool to deal with the trauma and to help us to heal. It's now time for our musical item. Do we have a musical item? It's not recorded in the program.
Whenever it's not recorded, then we have
We have Odile. Give us something impromptu for a minute or two, Odile. Something impromptu, thank you. I love his piano playing. We give thanks for Odile, who always has something in his repertoire that can delight us. Thank you so much, Odile. That was beautiful. Beautiful. And now it's time for us to stand for the prayer of Jamaica. Together.
The radiant light of God's love is now flowing through us and from us to everything and everyone it touches. The eternal light of God's love now completely fills, covers, and surrounds our island Jamaica. The glowing intensity of the light of God's love now interpenetrates and awakens within the hearts and minds of our countrymen and women the truths of life which set free. The light of God's love is growing and glowing in intensity in the hearts and minds of mankind everywhere. Love, health, harmony, goodwill, peace, uprightness,
please remain standing as we take our love offering blessings in our hands. And those who are online, as you prepare to give even a promise of giving, please put your hand on your heart and let us say together, lovingly I give, joyfully I receive. Be thou fruitful, increase, and multiply. Bless, prosper, and enrich everyone whom you touch, and replenish all of my financial affairs. So be it. Thank you, Father. And so it is. Remain standing, because we're having the second hymn now, and during the hymn, you may drop the envelope in the boxes on either side of the podium. Second hymn, We Let It Be. You may sit.
Come on up. Oopsie.
I just want to show
Good morning, Yvonne.
the church this gift that was given to us by our Sheena Robinson, who lives in Washington. She's always contributing, although she's living overseas, so we give thanks.
Oh, lovely.
Yes. So that's going to make it a lot easier to warm the food for our fellowship afterwards. So she recognized that there was a need, there was a void, and she filled it. We are so blessed and so grateful. Yes.
Thanks, Sheena.
Thank you, Sheena, because I'm sure she's online.
Thank you, Sheena, yes. And now we have the acknowledgements. We thank, first of all, Sean Blake and our floral angels who have created our lovely floral arrangement. Thanks, Sean, you're getting better and better. Nothing like practice, eh? We also thank our musicians, both those playing our recorded music, which had us dancing and jigging even before church started. And of course, we thank Odale, who is at the piano. We have to thank our ushers. What would we do without them? We thank our tech team, doing a marvelous job. And more generally, we thank our hospitality ladies. They are preparing a sumptuous repast for us outside. And finally, please remember to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And those are our acknowledgements. And we now have the blessing of our love offering by Reverend Michelle, and closing affirmative prayer also by Reverend Michelle.
So we're just going to combine these, and if you all could take that journey inward to that place within that's never been traumatized, that place of perfect peace. And take a deep breath in. And exhale. And it's in that recognition. I breathe, therefore I live. I live because I breathe. I'm so grateful and so thankful for all the gifts in their myriad forms, including microwaves, that the Temple of Light has received and will continue to receive and has received in generations past, to allow us to be a spiritual community, a place for healing, a place for compassion, a place for unconditional love, inclusion, and acceptance of anyone who walks within these doors. I'm grateful and thankful for each and every one of you in the sanctuary and online. For without you, there would be no reason for me to be. So right here and right now, I am fulfilling my life's purpose for which I am eternally grateful. So as you leave here today, you think about the tools, you think about the teachings that we have for every situation and circumstance that we may encounter in our human journeys. We have the philosophy to transcend, not ignore, but to transcend the situations and circumstances that may not be to our heart's desire. So I give thanks for the signs of mind. I give thanks for the ancient wisdom. I give thanks for this spiritual community. And I bless each person. And as you leave here today, there's a little bit more pep in your step and an attitude of gratitude because you have come for your spiritual medicine. You have come to be reminded that all that ails you is healed through consciousness, by consciousness. And this temple is a temple for growing consciousness. So we let it be so right here and right now. We affirm this together by saying, and so it is. Amen, Amen, Ashe, and Aho!
Effervescent is the adjective that I used earlier, and I agree. Effervescent and ebullient and very, very lively. Thank you. Please stand for our closing peace song. Yes, there is peace on earth. Love on earth.
We're going to spread the love.
Okay. Love today. Love today.